Have you fallen for a very jazzy plant like this one or this one? Only to just go home and realize you have no idea how to take care of it. Terrifying! Well, if you're one of those, listen up because I can help you out. A few weeks ago, my friend Pippa came around to my house and dropped off her plants for me to plant sit because she was going on an extended holiday back home. I was really excited for it, but then she showed up with this gorgeous thing and this gorgeous thing, and I'd never seen these plants before. So it was a mixed bag of sheer excitement at the idea that, I was gonna get to have, at least for a little bit, a new type of plant, but also terrified that I was going to kill her plants. And they were so beautiful. She is a plant machine for real. So anyway, I decided, okay, I definitely don't want to destroy her plants, so I decided to do a lot of research about these kinds of plants so I could make sure that they were going to be happy and healthy when they returned home. This is Calathea ornata. It's also commonly known as Pinstripe Plant. And then this one is Maranta Leuconera, erythroneura, also known as the Herringbone Plant, which is easier to say. These plants are all part of the Marantaceae family of plants. This is also called the arrowroot family. So all of these plants are also commonly known as prayer plants. So they're not called that because you're praying to keep them alive. They're called that because they open their leaves and close them, when it's night, almost in a prayer-like motion. So this praying motion, in a botanical and more technical term, is called nyctinasty. Nyctinasty follows the circadian rhythm of our planet. So what is the circadian rhythm? It's actually what regulates our need and want to sleep. So when it's sunlight out, we feel awake, and then when the sun starts to set, we start to get sleepy, and then we want to go to bed. Well, these plants follow exactly the same thing, which is so cool. Man, wow. And so it's kind of a hotly debated topic still in the botany and biology world, why these plants evolved to do that kind of thing. It's not really, we understand the how they do that, so they follow the sun, but not the why. And so one of the things that we scientists and plant professionals, and no way, I don't have a botany degree, but I love it. And anyway, the research has shown that it might be that this way they close their leaves, the top of their leaves, from potential accumulation of humidity and water and just droplets, because these plants are really prone to getting fungus and mold, etc., which is obviously not good for any type of plants. And so experts think that by closing the little leaves like that overnight, when it's cooler as well, so that's perfect ground for things to happen to your leaves that you don't want, then they're a bit protected. Another thing as well is that they really love humidity in the air, not humidity like droplets staying and pooling on their leaves, which is quite different. And so another theory that specialists have is that by closing their leaves, they are able to hold the moisture that they collected during the day and also into the evening, to really hold it and be able to be safe and protected and happy. Not only all of these plants are super jazzy, they also have this amazing prayer plant motion, as I told you, but they also unfurl and create new leaves in such a cool way. So, as you can see here, it just takes the shape of almost like a tiny little flute that will shoot out of the ground and then slowly unfurl. You can see this one is also part of that family, and it is also just poof, shooting out, and then it's going to slowly unfurl into this long blade looking leaf. Let's start with the herringbone plant. This beautiful plant is an evergreen tropical rainforest plant native of Central America as well as South America. Its native habitat is living right under all the tropical foliage, so it naturally doesn't get light or much light at all. That is also why it is very sensitive to light, just like any other prairie plant. I will talk a bit more about that later. What I wanted to talk about first is how gorgeous it looks. So as you can see, it has a deep green olive color, and this color kind of changes depending on the light that it actually gets, and also depending on how old the plant is. So as it matures, the colors change as well. Another reason why it's really cool to see it grow. As I said before, this type of plant is called Maranta Leuconera erythroneura. An interesting fact that I found when I was doing my research is that erythroneura, the last bit of the name, so that's the variety name, it actually takes its name from the Latin word that means red veins. Because obviously, as you can see, the veins of the herringbone are just striking. Okay, fun fact. To get really amazing coloring on your herringbone plant, you need to make sure, as I said, not to give it too much light. So the less light you will give it, the more purpley the lower leaves will be. So as you can see here, it's quite purpley, and here as well. But then some of the other leaves, like this one, are not at all. Because this one, I think, was closest to a window, whereas these other ones were a bit in the corner. And so they have a strikingly different color. So anyway, if you want your Maranta to look more like this and less like this, make sure that it is in a low to medium light environment, even putting it in a northern facing window, which is what I did when I put them in my room. Then the new shoots will grow much richer in color, I'll say. What's interesting about the herringbone plants, and actually it's all prairie plants really, and most plants, is that they like humidity, but they really hate having a lot of wet parts in their roots. So when taking care of your prairie plants in general, and especially herringbone because it's quite delicate, you will need a well-draining soil, but making sure that the soil itself is always a bit humid. So kind of different than other plants that I've talked about before. Thinking back about where these plants originally come from, as I said, they are native to Central and South America, and actually the herringbone plant is specifically native to Brazil. If you think about the tropical rainforest of Brazil, it's very humid, very hot, and again, because they are under this thick, tree underbrush, then they won't get a lot of light, but they will get a lot of humidity from the surrounding plants. And so they love humidity, but they don't like water being piled onto their leaves. This will put, the color will change quite dramatically, and you'll almost see little splotches of white and discoloration where the water droplet had pooled and stayed for an extended period of time. So for these plants, I don't recommend misting them if you can. You can do it a little bit, but making sure that if there is a pooling, then you just remove all those droplets. And ideally, you would buy a tiny humidifier. They're not expensive, so if you are willing to, I guess, splash out or spend, I think I got mine for like £10, so it's not expensive. I mean, they're not the best ones, like everything, you can get state-of-the-art humidifier. I don't have enough money for that. But as little as you can do, try it out, but if it's not necessary. When Pippa dropped off her plants at my place, we had a discussion about what I could propagate or not. She has a gorgeous satin pothos as well that I was dying to propagate, but it's her plant, it's her propagation attempt, okay. But she did say yes to propagating this guy. So obviously I went ahead and did it, and it's been a month, and look at this root growth. It's wow. It's pretty incredible. I'm so impressed actually. I wasn't sure if it was going to be easy because they look so delicate, and again, as I said, I wasn't really comfortable with them just yet. But I mean, seeing the massive root growth, I'm just gonna try to propagate every single plant that I have and just not be worried. Just do it. Obviously, if you try this at home, you know, some of them will not root, and that's okay. I tried it. This is also probably why the color has changed a little bit. It's probably dying a little bit. I will still keep it in water because sometimes some leaves take much longer than the others, and you know, you just never give up on your babies. But I wanted to show you something super cool. As you see, there's been very healthy root growth. I'll be able to repot these after I finish this video. What's interesting is that there's obviously 2 clumps, and there's a second clump of roots that have been growing from there, and there's a leaf that has been growing while it was just in water. Nature is just so resilient. It's really impressive. Let's move on to the beautiful Pinstripe Plant. So this plant bears its name because of the beautiful light pink little pin-like stripes that they have on their leaves. And if you turn it around, look at this purple, it's insane. It's so gorgeous. The Pinstripe plant, just like the Herringbone plant, doesn't like too much light. So if you wanted to keep this amazing deep purple and deep green with the light little pinstripes in the middle, make sure to put it well away from windows, ideally not in a south-facing window or anything like that, because then you can make sure that you're really managing that light. If it starts to be a bit, you know, droopy or anything like that, that's too much on one end of the spectrum. So when you buy any type of plant, really, you kind of need to move it around, and it's a trial and error situation. But just know that any type of prayer plant, like these ones, like medium to almost low light. Like the herringbone plant, the pinstripe plant doesn't like to be wet over an extended period of time on its leaves, but it loves humidity. So again, if you have a humidifier, use it, and if not, well, you'll have to do without it. Make sure that you give this quite a bit of water, because again, it loves humidity, but make sure that it's in a well-draining pot so the roots don't get root rot. Like I mentioned in my watering video, if you use tap water to water your plants, some of them, the more sensitive ones, like these ones, can get brown patches and dried little bits, so dried tips, etc. To avoid this, you can use distilled water, rainwater, or filtered water. This will help to make sure that the new growths of leaves that you will have will be crease-free. Just to clarify, switching from tap water to any of the 3 choices I mentioned will not, revive the little bits that are dry already. It's only the new shoots that will grow perfect. But then again, I don't think these little patches are that bad, because it shows life history and my journey and my friend Pippa's journey as plant bearers, you know? Just like the scars that we have in our human belly. Now, let's talk about how to make more prayer plants. So I've mentioned how to propagate the herringbone plant, and that is obviously through cuttings and water propagation. So the pinstripe is quite different, because these are propagated by division. So what is division? I've talked about this before in my Peace Lily video, and I keep on meaning to do a video all about division. So, watch out for that one coming soon. Back to the pinstripe. these, as you can see, I'll take it out of this beautiful pots. They grow in little tufts almost of plants, so clumps is probably a better word. And so, as you can see, this one is another little clump. So the way that I did this is you try and find a clump of the plants that is a bit separate from the others, and then you literally divide them. Divide the plants, so using either your fingers. I did that for this one because the roots were delicate enough and I could do it in a confident way that I wasn't going to destroy the plants. But sometimes for older plants it's a bit more difficult, so make sure to take a knife and try and see if you can untangle the roots as much as you can to find the clean break between the different crowns. So that's actually how the technical term, crowns of the plants. And then slowly pry them apart, repot, you've got two plants. The prayer plant family is so interesting and just plain beautiful. I mean, I've only just started researching all the cool stuff that they can do and all the different varieties, and I still haven't figured it out, but I am going to research much more so you and me can benefit from all that research. If you've just bought a prayer plant and you're not really sure what kind it is or how to take care of it, please let me know. I'd be happy to buy the same one. Gives me another reason to buy a plant, and then I can make a special video for it, just for you. I hope you really enjoyed this and you found it informative. Please like, comment, subscribe, you know the drill, and I'll see you soon.